What's up, guys? It's finally 2025, and I finally got my board back in December, and this is what I'm committing to for 2025, hopefully. But I wanted to do this video because of the fact that I went from a full Temple Trio board 21 to like full MIDI, looper, everything to basically everything inline, no MIDI, no programming, everything significantly more simplified. But there are certain things I carried over in terms of what I learned from the previous build to this new one. And for me, this is significantly more functional, more flexible, and for me, a lot more satisfying. So we'll just kind of walk through this and I'll show you my workflow. Starting off with the board, first we've got the Barber tone press. Not a huge story there. I got a really good deal on it and bought it when it came in. My buddy Greg texted me, he's like, hey, I know you just got the tone press. I actually have like some extra op amps or something that Kenyon also uses. You want one? I was like, yeah, sure. Sends it over. I used it for maybe 2 days, plopped it in, sent it out to get built the first time. And so I can't really speak to what difference it actually makes in regard to tone, but I know it sounds really good. Intro trim pot's turned up all the way as well for the treble. So here's really quick how it sounds just with the guitar going straight in. This is a good one that I got from my buddy Joe, and this has the McNelly Swagger Saggers. So here's the clean tone going straight into the Tonexes. And for the record, I still have the Boss. I just took it off because we're planning on making our own captures with these. So I wanted to be able to use my own amps, as you guys see back here. And yeah, so here's the clean tone going straight in. And then going into the Barber again, turning on. So going in from the Barber tone press, we're going to go into the Superbolt, which then goes into the Blammo, to the Proanalog, and then I believe it should go to the Hotone volume, and then HX One into Expanse, LVX, Mercury X, into the Tonexes that are under this board, which you probably can't see on this camera right here. And honestly, the Walrus tuner I only got because I could use it as a set list, which you see here. It's just nice to kind of have reference points for me on every set list, especially if it's like a long one like this one. In this case, this was a worship set that we did. So having the BPMs and all that was just super helpful to have as reference points. But otherwise, I generally will leave it on this so that if I'm playing swells or slide, I can see how accurate my pitch is, so I can get it in tune before I swell up. The drive section is something I want to spend some time talking about because I've had some conversations with some buddies, and I generally don't think of drives anymore as gain staging. I still stack, but I stack for a different purpose. The main thing being I'm wanting to get as much different varieties of textures as possible. So context for that, whether this may translate or not in the video, it definitely does in a sense of a mix. All of these pedals do something slightly different or drastically different depending on how you have it set. And if you're EG1, EG2, or lone EG, all of that will play a factor for me personally in how I dial these in. For me, the Superbolt generally is seen as like a farty, spatty, low-end, kind of bloated pedal in a way. And I can kind of see that, but here's how I have it set in this case. So, and I think this is volume. I think I'm running it low gain or something. I don't know. So that's kind of where I have it set, depending on what I'm using it for, as what the intention is. I'll either have it on kind of this setting here, or I'll use it for that kind of turn up the gain, get it really, really big, where if I'm doing single note stuff. Which, again, you can't do that when it's set low. So me personally, I love the texture that it adds to the sound. Moving on to the Blammo, similar situation there. If you don't know about this, this is like, there's the Overdrive by Color Sound, and this is the one that's right below it, and I forget what it's called, but this is what this is. And what I love about it is that this actually has a 9-volt, 18-volt charge pump, and so I can run it at 18 volts within the pedal with this switch. And what it generally does is it kind of opens up the overdrive to be not as squished and like fall apart as much. And it helps me to not have to do that within the power supply. So here's what this sounds like at 9 volts. I'll just kind of do that. And then going to 18 volts, same settings. And you can actually boost this pretty high too, and like get some really interesting tones out of it's a super fun pedal, and like there's so much you can do with this. And part of the reason why I'm talking about doing gain this way is because I'm not stuck to gain staging. Like I can do whatever I feel like the set needs for the songs, and get the textures that I need rather than sticking to one specific like order of things. And sometimes I'll stack these two together, or I'll stack the Proanalog and the Superbolt, but it just depends. And going into the Proanalog, this one's a unique pedal too, and Scotty doesn't make these anymore. Cusack, bring these back because they're awesome. And this is actually a V1, even though the enclosure inside says V2, but this is like a thicker, warmer overdrive that has so much gain and like fizz to it, but not really. Like it's still very natural sounding and like thick. Like it feels really good under the fingers. And I think the use case for me for this pedal could be EG2 rhythm, like low gain stuff where I don't want to poke out, but I want to be able to add some kind of energy to the mix. So I think we'll see how this sounds out the gate. So. And the bite is kind of like a treble, but also not really. Bark kind of adds like this richness to the overdrive. If you have it up, I'm going to turn this down. going to the drive side here. And then again, voltage booster with the stacked. Superbolt stacked. So anyway, there's a lot of options there with just these 3 pedals, and these are technically all modular spots as well, meaning any of these pedals might get swapped out between now and the end of the year. And I did that just because, again, given different sets, I want to have the ability to change the palette of the drive section. And for me, the drive section is probably one of the most underutilized areas of tone shaping. You don't have to stack. Like, you can get different types of textures with that. Just like with synths, you have smoother pads and then you have really aggressive synths, and like it's kind of the same principle there. And I think for me, my end goal with doing it this way was to make the sound guy's job as easy as possible, where, you know, I can hear in context of the mix and what the guitar player is doing, what the keys is doing, a lot more clearly than front of house can, especially when it comes to parts that are being played. And so I can be more intentional with what it is that I want to send to front of house and then let them adjust it to the room. So moving on, the Expanse, again, underrated pedal. I found one of these actually on Reverb listed recently for like $118, and you can get this for like probably $80. It's an incredible pedal. So much you can do with it. Anything from reverb, delays, choruses, trems, all are built into this, and it sounds awesome. Me personally, I'm using this for kind of a wide Eric Johnson-esque chorus that's kind of thick, and I can feel it under my fingers pretty well when this is on. And so this is... And I have different presets here as well. Something that's just a little more, I would say Bethely was kind of the thought, because like if I go... So that's really what the Expanse is for. And sometimes I'll switch it over to reverb just so I have reverb running into delay. It just depends. Crown jewel for the board for me has got to be the HX One though. I use a lot of the pitch stuff, and this is also just another Swiss Army knife for me, mainly because I think the tracking side of it probably does it the best of anything that I've used. Example for this would be sometimes we'll play in D standard, or even like if I want to be able to pull out a baritone without having to switch guitars, I can. And for me, the tracking is still great, even though it's after all the drives. So here's again. And even with the gains going before, it still tracks really well. Like, oh, that's probably what's up. I mean, that tracking is really solid. Anyway, so I use that for a lot of that stuff, and then of course Retro Reel 2, which and And then I'll also use it for like POG stuff. We also have a kind of a panning trim. And then kind of like, again, a thicker chorus. So there's just a lot of stuff in here that I use for, like, again. So HX One, indispensable for me. Going to the LVX, this is also like probably my favorite delay that I've had in a very long time, just because there's so much that you can do. And just to kind of briefly walk through it real quick, like the fact that I can do a bucket brigade. Nice too. There's also to like doing a series multi-tap, multi-filter, poly, reverse. And series. That's if like you have it. Like there's just so much that you can do. Ending with the Mercury X. This pedal's been one of those where I needed like time to really fall in love with it, because it's not a normal reverb, in that the things that you can do in it are very intentional. If you don't know what you want out of a reverb, then don't get this. And I think for me, what I wanted was something as unique as the LVX in terms of ability to do stuff. And so the cool thing now is like I've got a really simple, clean reverb here that I can use for. Of course, if I wanted to like really get it to freak out and stuff, I could. And this is a patch I use like 90% of the time anyway, but like these two together, especially with like a bucket brigade delay, like just helps even everything out. This smooth cloud is also a bit more like. Jimmy Riggs Dark Shimmery. And there's just like so much that you have. And actually there's a really cool patch. I think I overwrote it already. I need to reload it. But Vintage Haze is a really cool one because it has this. Awesome sounding reverb. There's just like so much that you can do with it. The Mercury X should probably be its own video, but anyway, that's my current 2025 board for the year, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Also would love to see your boards. Send us a DM too on Instagram, and we'll keep putting out content like this too. I know Joe's also got the Nano Cortex, the QC stuff, and we're hoping to do some more modeler content specific, just so that way we can be a resource for you guys and hopefully learn from our mistakes that we've learned along the way. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk soon.